So it's been a while since I've made a YouTube video and I took a very long hiatus, but I'm back posting on this channel again and using it as like a monologue of the journey. There's obviously a lot to catch up on. I am back in England currently. I flew back from Thailand, I think just over 2 months ago. And yeah, I'm just going to be talking about what happened in between now and then, my thought process, what's happening with my coaching, what's been going through my head, and just sharing some of the challenges that I went through in the past year. So, where to start? I got out to Thailand in May of 2025, and I think it's important to give a bit of context around what my life was looking like at that point. I had come back from Thailand, I think probably 5, 6 months back, and just had the most amazing time ever. Spent my year training Muay Thai, traveling around Asia, and it was just awesome. Like, got exposed to such a different side of life, and as an experience, as a first experience after quitting my first corporate job and sort of going all in on this online money space, it just gave me a taste of what was possible. Then I came back for Christmas, and during that period of time, without going too much into detail, I felt very isolated because I don't have a very close relationship with my family. I have a very small family and it's not the most supportive environment. And during that time, I ended up going through a situation where someone I trusted a lot actually betrayed my trust and put me in a very difficult position. And I ended up basically cutting myself off from my family, which may sound really abnormal to a lot of people because I appreciate your family are often individuals that you have a very close relationship with. But I never grew up like that. I was never that close to anyone besides my grandmother. And this situation put me with my back up against the wall. I didn't rely on my family, but it was nice knowing that someone was there. And at this point in my life, I felt very alone because I came back from the dream life and it felt like it was torn out of my hands. And then I came home to an environment that I already didn't feel like I belonged in. And the people that I was surrounded by made me feel even more isolated. So I was going through a super lonely period. I was not coping very well, wasn't speaking to people. I stopped seeing my friends and I disguised it as me locking in. I was isolating myself with the intention of going back to Thailand and building myself a life. And when I didn't have any validation isn't the word. When I didn't have any support or a sense of being anywhere, even amongst my friends, I started putting a lot of my self-worth into this business and me being successful. And for those of you that don't know, I grew up in a household where I wasn't really made to feel valued for who I wanted to be. And I grew up as a retirement plan for my parents. And throughout like my kid years, all I ever got conditioned to believe was that money is the only thing that carries any worth. And if I didn't make any money, then I wouldn't be someone of value. And to an extent, I do care about money. I think it's important. I think money solves money problems and it buys you the freedom to do what you like with your life and take care of the people that you care about. But that wasn't the relationship for me. I felt like if I didn't have money in my life, it would have a very strong correlation with how happy I was. And that was a very unhealthy way to live. And when I segregated away from my family, that was my way out. I felt like, okay, if I don't have anyone in my corner and anyone to show up for, and I didn't really value myself at the time either, then I'm gonna go to Thailand. I'm gonna go all in on this business, and once the money is there, I'm gonna be able to be happy finally. And that evidently wasn't the case. So I think I rushed the decision to go back out there, and I knew it was my happy place, and I wasn't coping well with the idea of losing out on the very few family members that I had. Even though our relationship wasn't great, it's still family, right? So I flew back out to Thailand, and I took the last of my savings and went all in on my coaching business. And for a period of time, it was going super well. I managed to find some traction, particularly within the Muay Thai space, which was very ideal with what I was doing. All kept on working on it, kept training myself, kept fighting. The content kind of worked for itself. But over time, I had a realization, even though I started making good money and I was able to travel around Asia, visit my friends in Australia, it did feel a little bit, not like I made it, but things were working, things were going well for me. But at the same time, I didn't enjoy my work because I wasn't doing something that was really aligned to my own journey. Even though I fight, the reason I fight isn't purely just for Muay Thai. I had a much deeper journey with my fitness, with how my pursuit of a good physique shaped me, the unhealthy relationship I had with external validation from people, growing up being bullied at school and not really made to feel welcome anywhere. And fighting was an escape for me. It was proof that I wasn't the coward that I thought I was growing up. So now, once I felt validated in my own body because I started fighting, I finally felt confident and proud of myself. I was still missing this validation of feeling like I belonged somewhere, feeling like I had a family or had something to numb the pain of that emptiness that was left behind from when I came back in England. And money didn't cover it. Money didn't cover it. Money distracted me away from it. So when I decided that I wanted to take my business in a different direction, I didn't have any clue on how to do that business transition. I'd built an entire audience on me fighting, and that's when I started posting on social media. So I just went in with blind trust that what I was going to do was going to work out the same way that I went out to Thailand. And I had a shred of evidence that if I just took a risk on myself, things might work out in my favor. Over the months, I did realize that I didn't know what I was doing with this business model, and there was definitely a knowledge gap, but also my ego wouldn't let me admit that there were things I didn't understand, and I thought that I'd brute force my way through it. And I used training as an escape. I thought if I could just train harder and keep showing up, somehow things would magically fix themselves. But the same skill set that got me in shape isn't the same skill set that would help me actually build a successful business. And I was naive to think that. And I think because I was still dealing with all of that turmoil from home, I was too scared to actually confront the issue that I was facing and actually admit that I did need help. I did need some time to work through all the emotions that I was feeling so I could actually put my pride aside and be a beginner again, start learning all the necessary skills that it was going to take to scale my new offer, the Modern Athlete. So the months went by and I kept running out of money, and soon all my old clients also started leaving me because I was no longer posting about things that resonated with them. So I had a few people that were still working with me, that I built relationships with, that trusted me and I enjoyed working with. So I was very blessed to still have these people in my corner. But at one point or another, I sort of knew that my time was running out and something needed to happen, and I wasn't taking any logical action to make those things happen. I was just working on blind faith that somehow magically things would work in my favor, and they obviously didn't. So, with 1 month left to go before I was deciding to leave, I also had a MCL injury, so I couldn't even fight. So I couldn't do the thing that was gonna help me escape from the emotions that I was feeling. So I was in a dark spot, to be honest. It felt like I was going to be living the dream life out there, and I felt lonelier than ever because the thing that I was looking for was in people around me, being surrounded by people that inspired me, motivated me, made me feel at home. And instead, I tried looking for that feeling in views, in how much money I was making in my bank account. I just built an ugly relationship with myself, and I thought that money would cover the man that I wasn't, if that makes sense. I still had so many gaps and so much trauma that I felt victimized by. But now I realize that it's one of the biggest blessings. And the leaps that I've made in my own mental state and my progress as a man, I have those experiences to thank for, but because I actually understand how they've shaped me now and how I can move on from them and how they actually make me a stronger person and someone of value that can help other people. But at the time, they felt like a chip on my shoulder, and that chip on my shoulder was going to be fixed by money and this business succeeding. So when it didn't, I hit a low point because now I no longer had the business to vouch for me and who I was, and I no longer had the people that were meant to be closest to me to make me feel like I was unconditionally supported. And I'm okay with that because I understand, like, we don't we we get the cards that we are dealt in life, and we can't do much to change that. And I became okay with that over time. But during that period, it just felt like everything was against me. And it's hard in those states of mind to really think rationally because you sort of become addicted to your own suffering. And I was definitely in a position where my sadness was just feeding itself. And I wanted to just give up on what I was doing because it felt pointless. It felt like I failed, and I couldn't reasonably think that a business takes time to build, especially when I wasn't yet the man that was deserving of the business that I was trying to build. And it was hard for me to admit that. So now I'm back home. I flew back home. I have zero in my bank account. I'm currently working 2 DM setting jobs to try cover costs and give me a bit of room to firstly develop myself as a man and become someone of value that people can trust, not just as a fitness coach, but someone to look up to as a mentor. Other people that have been in my position where they've felt lost and they've tried covering a void with a figure in their bank account or not really knowing who they are and chasing validation and external things. I want to be someone who can represent my journey well to them, having taken the risk on myself and ended up back at not square one because I've got way more knowledge than I did beforehand, but a position that feels hard to be in. It feels hard to be 25 and having to start over from scratch. I'm currently living at one of my childhood friends' houses. I'm so fortunate to have supportive people around me because otherwise I don't know what I would have ended up doing. There's a high chance that I might have ended up not even posting on Instagram anymore for a period of time because I would have just had to work and give myself a bit of cushion again. But now I have supportive mentors, supportive friends in my life that have given me some room to firstly work on myself, secondly, build that cushion up and go through this transition period and really understand my own story so I can connect with the people that I want to help with. Fighting has taken a backseat as well. That's something that I struggled to balance, and it's something that I needed to accept that I can't train my way out of my problems. As good as training might feel, and as confident as I might feel when I look good, I know how to maintain my physique outside of doing the classic Muay Thai training where I was training, 9, 10, 11 sessions a week. That wasn't a problem, but I needed to stop using training as an escape and start doing the hard work that I was avoiding that kept me stuck when I was in Thailand. So this is just a real honest reflection on where I'm at right now. I'm not making these videos to get people to feel sorry for me. It was hard to pick up the camera and speak about this stuff because I'm still figuring out a lot of the things that went wrong in Thailand and figuring out myself, my own mental blocks and the things that are currently keeping me from stepping completely into the identity of the business owner that I want to be. But this is my own record so that one day I look back on these videos and I can see just how far I've come and the leaps I've taken and the people I've helped and the progress that I will make in this business. And I guess this is the rough middle bit, which I want to document and share because it's important. And I understand now that God has put me in this position for a reason. There are lessons that I can take from this. And over the past couple of weeks, I've slowly gone from feeling anxious and depressed about the situation to thankful because my state of mind has just changed. I don't want to look at any situation that happens to me as something that's happening against me, but instead, how are things happening for me? What can I learn from being put in these positions? Because clearly, having gone from a position where I used to feel like a victim, I now believe that everything in life is down to you and your reality is a product of your actions and there's no one else to blame regardless of what situation you've been put in. And I think that's a necessary step into becoming someone great, someone you can be proud of, someone that lives with purpose and actually helps other people. So yeah, that's my situation right now. Just an honest update of where I'm at. I will be posting more consistently on this YouTube, posting about the journey, all the hiccups that might come up ahead, my own development in my journey, both in fitness, as a business owner, mentally as a guy at the age of 25, navigating what seems to be the very messy middle of his life and sharing from my experiences very honestly, and also learning to speak a bit more vulnerably about my situation because I think a lot of guys have been in my position in their own way and they're scared to speak up about it or feel like they don't belong somewhere. And I'm here to show you that you can make your own destiny and you can chase whatever it is you really want in life. And even when shit hits the fan, you can keep moving forwards. But showing you that through my own story instead of sitting here and preaching to you about how pretty it looks at the end. This is the reality of it, and I'm going to be showing you guys everything I can to do with that.